What is going on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder, aka less, so you can build a beautiful, sculpted hourglass body that you feel amazing in and maintain these results year-round with ease. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and if you're coming on back, thanks so much for joining for another video. All right, so let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why your weight loss progress eventually plateaued, came to a stall, just stopped working when you were eating very low calories? The reason that happens is because when you're eating low calorie for an extended period of time, your body adapts to the amount of food that you are consuming and you start burning way less calories all the time as well. So this is why it is actually not smart to try to lose weight, meaning that you want to actually lose fat, not just any weight, which we're gonna get to in a second, by eating super low calorie, because it's ultimately gonna backfire. Yes, in the very beginning, when you cut your calories super low, you may see a lot of weight go down in the scale at first, but keep in mind, a lot of that weight loss is going to be water weight, gut weight, and of course, a lot of it is also muscle loss, which you do not want. The muscle is the thing that makes your skin smooth, firm, tight, and it's gonna make you toned, right? So this is also why a lot of the time when women will pursue eating very low calorie, although yes, they may end up a bit skinnier, they don't actually like the end result because they're still kind of flabby and shapeless, and they just kind of look a little bit skinny fat instead of lean and toned with definition the way that they actually wanted to get. All right, so how do you get yourself out of this mess of not really burning many calories, being stuck with your progress, and also just not having the shape, not having any energy, being miserable because you're eating so low calorie? The only way out is to go up. You need to eat more food to get out of this mess and actually get the results that you want, and it's gonna work way better. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why. So the process of gradually increasing your calories is called a reverse diet. So literally meaning the inverse of a diet, because when you think of a diet, obviously you think keep cutting your calories lower and lower and lower so that you're going to continue to lose weight. Well, a reverse diet is the inverse, where you are gradually increasing your calories so that your body will adapt and start burning more calories. So this is what is so incredible about our bodies. Just the same way that our bodies adapt when we are consistently eating very little and starts burning very little calories, the opposite will also happen. When you consistently give it more and more and more, and you are consistent, by the way, with this intake, always fueling your body's gonna be so happy, it's going to adapt, it's gonna have way more energy, everything's gonna start working better, and you're gonna be burning more calories as a result. Okay, so who should do a reverse diet? Really, I kind of think everybody should do this at some point in their lives, but a reverse diet is especially for somebody who wants to have a recomposition. What that means is that they want to change the way their body looks right now. So they want to decrease body fat, which is the mushy, flabby, shapeless stuff, and they want to increase muscle mass. So yes, that's a type of weight gain. It's just the type that you want, and then you want to be taking the weight off from fat. The reason that you want muscle is because it doesn't take up as much space. So even though you have more muscle, which is adding weight onto your body, it is smaller than fat is. It's smooth, firm, and tight. So that's how you end up getting the ab definition, the sculpted legs and glutes, toned arms, toned back, all of that good stuff. So if you have fat that you want to lose, if you want to get lean, you want to be able to see all the shape and definition underneath, you need to ask yourself, am I in a good spot to go into a calorie deficit? Because technically speaking, the only way that you can actually lose fat is by eating a little bit less than the amount of food that you're burning, aka a deficit, right? Because you are in a deficit of energy, your body is burning more than you are consuming. So we hear this all the time, oh yeah, in order to lose fat, you need to go into a calorie deficit, just slash your calories, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that we almost never hear is being asked, okay, but are your calories currently in a good place to actually go into a deficit? So what I talk about all the time on this channel is if you are a woman and you are eating less than 2,000 calories a day consistently, if you are eating any less than that, you need to reverse diet before you can properly lose body fat and keep it off. Why is that the case? Because if you are going to go into a calorie deficit, that means you are going to be decreasing your calories. So if you are only eating, let's say 1,500, 1,600 calories a day right now, and I find that that's a pretty average intake for a lot of women, if not even lower than that, if not even like 1,300 calories. So if you're at 1,600 calories, the first drop, you're gonna go to like 1,300 calories, and then you're gonna need to keep dropping. So then you're gonna get down to 1,000 calories at some point, even less than 1,000 calories. And the point is, obviously, that is very unsustainable. That is so little food. You're not gonna be able to be training to maintain or build any muscle while you're doing that, which is obviously what you actually want, to be toned and to be able to maintain the results, because more muscle equals faster metabolism as well. And obviously it's just gonna be miserable. You're gonna be only able to eat very little food. You're gonna have no energy. So the chances of you actually being able to adhere to such low calories is very, very low. And then the other problem, of course, and this is the biggest thing to really understand, is remember the amount of calories you are consuming is what your body is adapted to burning. So if you're going down to 1,000 calories a day, your body's only burning 1,000 calories a day. Wouldn't it be so much better if you were burning twice that amount, if not even more than that, by first getting your metabolism to be at that point where your body is burning that much, because that's how much you're eating. So that is the reason to do a reverse diet, is to prepare your body to be able to lose fat while still holding on to muscle, hopefully gaining some muscle through this reverse diet, and then obviously being able to maintain the results thereafter, and just being able to lose fat way more easily with way more energy, way more enjoyment, because your body is actually working way better than it would be if you were eating super low calorie. Okay, now here is what is really cool about doing a reverse diet, is that a lot of people will actually see a lot of recomposition happen in the reverse diet itself, meaning they're going to see fat loss and or weight loss. It doesn't always actually translate to weight loss on the scale. It depends on the person, which I'll explain in a bit, but they are going to see that fat comes off and muscle comes on while they are doing the reverse itself. So this is magical, because think about it. If you don't have to cut your calories, if you don't have to eat less to see your body change, why would you? Wouldn't you rather be eating more and seeing your body change? That is way better. So this is why you should definitely work your way up to minimum 2,000 calories a day before you even consider going into a fat loss phase, if not higher than that. Because a lot of the time, as you're going through the reverse, and by the time you actually get to 2,000 calories, you might see your body's responding so well that there's no reason to start cutting at 2,000. You want to push your reverse diet as high as you possibly can until you see that your body is not responding the way that you want it to anymore for the goals that you want. And that is when you can finally move into the cut to really, really see the fat loss happen. Cut meaning going into a calorie deficit. So the reason why a lot of women will see fat loss happen as they are increasing their calories is because their body actually technically is in a calorie deficit, even though they're eating more food. And this is because their body has adapted and is now burning so many calories more than it was previously that their body's actually burning a little bit more than the amount of food that they're eating. Okay, now that being said, not every single person is going to see either weight loss, so actually seeing the scale go down, or even fat loss, because sometimes you may be leaning out, but you're not actually seeing that in the scale, and that's because there might be other things going on with your body. You might be gaining muscle, you are eating more food, so you're also going to be holding water weight, you're going to have more gut weight, so literally food in your stomach, and the more food you eat, especially lots of carbs, you're going to also store more energy from that food, and carbs converts into glycogen, which gets stored in your muscles. So you have all those sources of weight happening as you are increasing your food. So this is the thing, you may see the scale go up in a reverse diet, but that does not mean that you are gaining body fat. There is a big difference. You are just seeing it go up because yeah, you have more food, more water, more glycogen, and then hopefully you're also pushing yourself harder in the gym, you're also lifting weight, so you are also putting on a little bit of muscle. So not everybody is going to see a bunch of fat loss or a bunch of weight loss happen in the reverse itself, and that is okay. It completely just depends on how your body responds, because it might just be that your body doesn't adapt and put itself into a calorie deficit the way that somebody else's body would, but it doesn't matter. You still need to push through the reverse diet. You still need to get to at least 2,000 calories a day, if not a little bit higher. I usually prefer to get my client to somewhere between 2,200 to 2,400 calories a day before we cut, because to me, 2,000 is really the bare minimum, but obviously depending for some women, that might be where we have to cut the reverse off because they aren't actually losing. Maybe they're kind of short and they have a lot of fat that they want to lose, and also they feel full and satisfied. Now, if you're really hungry still at 2,000 calories a day, that definitely is a sign that you should continue reversing, because if you're already hungry, if you're going to go cut your calories, you're going to be so hungry. So you kind of want to get to the point where you're not getting hungry anymore. Even if your body isn't changing a whole lot during the reverse itself, it is going to prepare you properly for the fat loss phase, and it is going to be worth it. So there's some amount of delayed gratification that goes into this process some of the time. Now, there are some clients who can go through a reverse for a very long time, and we don't even ever really have to cut, or at least not for a very, very long time, because their body is responding so well to the reverse itself, the increase in calories, they're putting on muscle, they're losing fat, that there's just no reason for us to cut. We're going to keep focusing on building muscle for a long period of time. Now, I find that this tends to be clients who are a little bit on the skinnier side when we start. They might still have a bit of body fat, maybe around 30% body fat, but they don't have a lot of body fat to lose, and those people usually can lean out pretty well well just from the reverse itself, and then really focus on putting on muscle. But clients who have a larger amount of body fat to lose usually are going to have to go to a cut after they do the reverse, because we just have too much fat that we have to lose, so we have to actually do a calorie deficit to really get off all of the body fat. Okay, so now that you know why you should do a reverse diet before you even consider going into a fat loss phase, let's talk about how you actually do a reverse diet. So I'm gonna walk you through step by step how to do it the right way. Okay, so first thing that needs to happen is you need to find out how much food are you currently eating, what is your body adapted to right now, in order to know which direction to go in. So what you're gonna do is take an app like MyFitnessPal, and you're gonna track everything that you eat as meticulously as you can, really pay attention and thoroughly track everything for 7 days. Then at the end of the 7 days, you're gonna add up every single day's total calorie amount and then divide that grand total of all 7 days by 7 to find more or less what the average was for each day. Okay, so once you have that average, now you are going to set macros to those calories. So it's really important that we're not only focusing on calories, we have to think about where are the calories coming from, and that is your macros, which is short for macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. You need all three, but you need the right amount of all three because each one plays a very different role in how much muscle versus how much fat, and also your energy levels, how full and satisfied you are. So we need the right amount of each. So here is how you're gonna set your macros. The first thing you're gonna do is set your protein intake, which as a woman should be anywhere from 120 to 150 grams of protein per day. The closer you can get to 1 gram per pound of body weight, the better. However, let's say you're somebody who weighs 200 pounds. That would mean a lot of the weight on your body is coming from fat. So you don't need to eat 200 grams of protein per day because it's just gonna be way more than you actually need. You really only need the protein for your muscle mass. So 150 is definitely plenty. So first pick a number somewhere in between there, as close to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Then what you're gonna do is set your fat intake. And so your fats is the only one that you think of as a percentage of all your grand total calories. So your fat intake should be somewhere between 25 to 30% of your intake. Okay, so I am just gonna give you an example walkthrough of what these macros could look like. So let's say you found out that your average intake was 1,600 calories. Obviously we know that this is too low, so we got a reverse diet. So what you would do is, okay, let's say you wanna set your protein at 140 grams per day. Okay, so 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So you're gonna type in 140, you're gonna multiply it by 4, and that gives you 560 calories going to protein, okay? So just write that down because you're gonna need it in a moment. And then let's say you wanna do 30% of your intake towards fats. It can be anywhere between 25 to 30. If you're somebody who likes a little bit more butter, peanut butter, guacamole, then it's definitely okay to be closer towards 30 to enjoy your food a little bit more. So let's say 1,600 calories multiplied by 0.3, that gives us 480 calories that are supposed to go to fat, but every gram of fat is 9 calories, whereas every gram of protein and carbs is 4. So fats are more than twice as dense in calories as protein and carbs. So 480 divided by 9 is 53.33. So we can just say 53 grams of fat. Okay, so 53 times 9 is 477 calories plus the 560 calories from the protein. So that gives us 1,037 calories. And now all the other calories that you have left are going to go to carbs. So that's how you set your macros. So we have 1,600 for your daily total minus 1,037, and that gives us 563 calories going to carbs. So 1 gram of carbs is also 4 calories. So we're gonna divide that by 4, and that gives us 140.75. So again, you can just round that to 140. So that's a good example of what your starting macros could be. 140 protein, 140 carbs, 53 grams of fat. All right, now what you're gonna start doing is actually hitting your macros every single day. 6 out of 7 days per week. The 7th day, you are entitled to have one cheat meal, which I prefer to call an enjoyment meal because it's a meal that you can go have that is like obviously really yummy food, the type of meal that you wouldn't eat for your fitness goals, but you do eat for fun, and you don't have to track it. You can just enjoy yourself. So this is a cheat meal, not a cheat day, or enjoyment meal, not an enjoyment day. So on that 7th day, whatever day of the week it is, you can still eat your regular meals how you would, still track them, but then you do get one meal for free. So that means 6 out of the 7 days, you wanna be hitting your macros, and you wanna be hitting them within 5 grams of each macro target. So plus or minus 5 grams, whatever macro target you have. So the way to know for sure that you are hitting your macros is to get one of these babies. babies, a food scale. Now, a lot of people really freak out and think like, oh my God, it's so insane to weigh your food. It definitely isn't, because you literally are already in the kitchen, you're already making food. Weighing your food takes 1 extra second, and then you know for sure that you were eating the right amount to guarantee you get the results you want. So really try to change your mindset around this if this seems crazy to you, because wouldn't you rather just for sure get the results you want rather than be kind of like half asking it and then getting very half-assed results? So when you track your food, you will know, yes, I did for sure eat this. I literally weighed it out to the gram or to the ounce, whatever unit of measurement you want to use. And then I tracked it in MyFitnessPal and I made sure that I'm actually hitting my macros. The best way to guarantee that you will for sure hit your macros is to pre-log a full day of eating, including every little thing that you're gonna eat, any milk or sugar you're gonna put in your coffee, any little snacks you might have, any condiments you're gonna use. Pre-plan everything in MyFitnessPal for the next day, and then you're gonna kind of play Tetris to make sure that you do hit your macros. So you're gonna plug in everything that you would wanna eat, you're gonna go take a look at it, and hey, if you don't have enough protein, you're gonna have to go back into your diary, and you're gonna have to find the protein sources you already have in there, and then increase the amounts that you have, or add in an entirely new protein source so that you will hit your protein. And you just do this back and forth until you are hitting all of your macros within 5 grams plus or minus. If you wanna see what it looks like to actually pre-plan and weigh everything and track all your food for a full day of eating, I made a video about that, about how to meal prep really effectively. So you can go check out that video here to learn how to do that. Okay, so now you're hitting your macros. Now, the other important thing to keep track of in this whole journey of your reverse diet and your fitness journey in general, you really need to be paying attention to data, because you don't want to just randomly guess what you should do. You want to be sure of what you should do because you actually have feedback about how your body is changing and responding. So yes, you need to be tracking your macros for sure. You need to make sure you know what you are eating and have that data. Then the other things you need to do is weigh yourself first thing in the morning, every morning. You want to do this naked, ideally if you can, on an empty stomach, so not eating or drinking anything, and then after using the bathroom. That is when you want to weigh yourself every single day. You want to keep track of it because you want to pay attention to what's happening with the scale over time. It's not one individual day. If you step on the scale and you weigh a little bit heavier than you did yesterday, don't freak out. Fluctuations are totally normal, but you want to pay attention to the trend that's happening, because that is going to give you really important information about how your body's responding to what you're doing. The other thing you need to do is take weekly photos. This is so important. Do not skip this. Even if you're uncomfortable with how you look right now, it doesn't matter. Just do it, because trust me, a lot of the time progress is happening, but when you don't actually compare photos side by side, you may not be aware of it, because obviously the changes day to day are so gradual that it can be hard to see when you're just looking at yourself in the mirror. So you need to be taking photos. It is so important. It's actually the most important thing you can be keeping track of. So you also want to take your photos correctly. So the way that I make my clients do it is, number one, essentially try to wear as little clothing as possible. I know that might be kind of uncomfortable, but you want to be able to really see your body, especially, for example, your glutes hold a lot of muscle and fat. So if you have shorts on, you're actually going to be missing out on seeing a lot of the changes that are happening in that area. So try to wear something that's more like a thong, a bikini, or bra and underwear, something that is fairly revealing. And obviously nobody has to see this but you anyways. Then what you want to do is you want to stand in front of a window or stand in front of some good quality lighting, but natural light is the best to be able to see the most clearly how you look. And then you're going to take a picture from the front with both arms flexed. You're going to take a picture from each side with your arms raised out in front of you. Don't have your arms at your side, because if you do that, you're going to be blocking what your stomach looks like. So make sure to lift your arms up, please. I always force my clients to retake that photo if they don't do it correctly, because it is that important. And then from the back, you're also going to take one with your arms flexed as well. Okay, so do this every single week, same position, same outfit, same lighting and angle, so that you're going to be able to have the best side-by-side comparison. Now, the last thing you want to be keeping track of and what you want to ask yourself every week is, number one, how adherent were you? You obviously need to be adherent. It is one thing to say that you are tracking macros, it's another to actually hit them. So be really honest with yourself. Make sure that you are actually doing what you need to do to see results. And then you want to be paying attention to your hunger and your energy levels. So you want to be noticing, is your hunger changing at all? Are you starting to notice that you're getting hungrier and the same amount of food that used to keep you full isn't keeping you as full anymore? Are you noticing that, you don't have as much energy because now you are getting hungry like that? These are the things that you want to be paying attention to. So here is how you go ahead and make adjustments in your reverse diet. So every week you're going to look at, okay, what happened with the scale? If the scale went down as you were hitting your macros, then do not hesitate to do an increase in calories. So what would the increase in calories look like? It should be somewhere between 60 to 100 calories of an increase, and that should mainly come from carbs. Yes, this is what you want to do. This is what I do with all my clients, and it works. So if it was going to go to carbs, that would be somewhere between 15 to 25 grams of an increase in carbs. And this is all the more reason why hitting your macros super close to the target is so important, because if you are actually going over or under your carb target by 20 grams, then increasing the target 20 grams doesn't make a difference because you already were in that range. So this is why you got to be hitting them as close to the dot as possible so you can actually make changes. So 60 to 100 calories, somewhere between 15 to 25 grams of carbs. Every now and then you can also make an adjustment with your fats. You can increase about 5 grams of fats, which would be 45 calories because every gram of fat is 9 calories. And then you could also do another 5 grams of carbs. So that would be a 65 calorie increase right there. Or of course you could do a little bit more if you were going to do a 100 calorie increase. So how do you know if you should increase by 60 to 100 calories? This is where it's going to come down to some amount of personal judgment. If you notice that you are getting much hungrier, if the scale is going down, and if you actually do look like you're getting visibly leaner, a little bit more toned in your photos, then definitely don't hesitate to increase a little bit on the higher side. However, if there wasn't that much of a change in your hunger, in the scale, or with your photos, then you can definitely stay a little bit more on the conservative side. Now, if week to week, if there wasn't any change in the scale at all, or if the scale actually did trend upwards a little tiny bit, then this is where, again, you might decide, okay, I'm going to take one more week at these same macros before I make any adjustments. I'd say if the scale is staying the same, your hunger cues are starting to get a little bit picked up, and your photos are still looking pretty good, it would still be okay to increase at least 60 calories or the 15 grams of carbs. But if you're feeling like pretty full, and if the scale is trending up a little tiny bit, which by the way, doesn't mean that you're gaining fat, just means that you're eating more food, so that's to be expected. So if the scale is maybe going up a little bit, if you're not seeing a whole lot of change in your photos, and or if you haven't really felt any difference in your hunger levels, that's where I would wait another week and then reassess at the end of another very adherent week to see if you should make the increase. Now, one final tip for having a successful reverse diet is try to use that extra fuel to push hard in your workouts, actually lifting challenging weights and really controlling the weights that you lift, doing good quality training sessions, because when you take that extra fuel that you're giving your body to actually use it to perform better and to put more attention on your muscles and really feed those muscles, that is what is going to help you build a lot more of that sexy muscle, and that is what is going to speed up your metabolism and get your hunger cues really going. So try to maximize your training sessions, really see that as the window of opportunity, and if you also do that in addition to the reverse diet, it's going to be very successful for you. So that is how you do the reverse diet. You're just going to rinse and repeat every single week. You're going to evaluate whether or not you should do an increase or not, keeping very close track of all the data, making sure that you are actually adherent and being really honest with yourself about that, because you need to be. And then you're going to do this all the way up to at least 2,000 calories a day, and then see, okay, if you are gaining a bit of weight in the reverse, weight on the scale, not body fat. If the scale is going up in the reverse and you do have a good bit of fat you want to lose and you're not feeling hungry, then I'd say it's okay to just start cutting. But if everything is going really well, if the scale is at least maintaining or is even trending down during the reverse, your hunger cues are up, you have good energy, and you are noticing some physical changes with your body, then just keep that reverse going. Push the reverse as high as you can until you hit that point where you are pretty much maintaining your weight. And then if you still have a lot more fat you want to lose, that is when you can go into a cut. All right, so in the next video that I'm going to make, I'm going to explain step by step how to do a cut, how to do the proper fat loss phase, because yeah, it's just too much for this video, so I'm going to put it in an entirely separate one. So thank you so much for checking out this video, Fit Fam. Hope it was helpful. Comment down below if you were going to try a reverse diet. I would love to give you some tips if you have any questions about it. And I did already make a very extensive video about how to reverse diet properly, so if you want to get some more ideas about how to do that, you can check out that video here where it's going to walk you through. So thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.